Nick Spencer and Mark Bagley begin their big final event for their run on Spider-Man as Peter and MJ's night at the movie premiere is interrupted by not only the Savage Six, but the Sinister Six as well, all whom are after one person, Mary Jane. Nick Spencer surprisingly stays on task with this first issue of the Sinister War, telling a very concise and to the point opening of the story that, while has connections to everything he's been building over his entire run, doesn't feel bloated or a mess like his recent issues of The Amazing Spider-Man have been. The issue was very to the point and sets up the Sinister War pretty well, with two teams of Spider-Man's greatest enemies battling one another at the behest of Kindred, who of course is manipulating everything from behind the scenes to get back at Peter and MJ. This is probably where all of my worries for the series come into play, since lately Spencer has been using a lot of last minute twists or deus ex machinas, and involving Kindred, which has to happen either way, makes me concerned that that's what's going to happen here with this event over the course of some time, and it will end with some last big minute reveal or some key piece of information being revealed at the 11th hour. Mark Bagley returns as artist, and as I've said in the past on my reviews for The Amazing Spider-Man, he's a fantastic Spider-Man artist, getting to draw literally all of the hero's villains this issue with some really fun action set pieces and spreads that never feel overstuffed despite bursting at the seams with things that are happening on the page. Sinister War issue 1 was a to-the-point and concise beginning to Nick Spencer's final Spider-Man event before he exits the book, foregoing Spencer's recent bloated and overly complicated plotlines for a simple, great-looking, beat-em-up, battle-centric issue. The only real concern I have is the book will fall into Spencer's old ways and become a bloated mess, but only time will tell. I'm going to give this issue a 7.5 out of 10. Sinister War issue 1 finds Doctor Strange talking with Mephisto in his casino, knowing the devil has taken something from Peter Parker since his soul cries out from loss. Mephisto knows that he can't take anything in this particular game, and it can only be given to him freely. In New York, Peter joins MJ on the red carpet for her new movie, finding it strange to be on the other side of the camera for once, knowing when he's not in his red and blue tights, this definitely isn't a scene he wants to be in, but it is MJ's since she was born for this. MJ asks how Peter is going, but he says he doesn't want her to worry since he's just there to be arm candy, wanting her to enjoy the moment. Peter finds himself thinking how proud he is of MJ and what she has done with her life, knowing that no one has worked harder than she has, and her career has had many ups and downs, and they have faced many adversities together, but now she finally is getting the Hollywood ending she deserves. Soon Peter is met by Cage McKnight, MJ's director, who insisted the woman be part of his production. Peter doesn't want to screw this up for MJ, telling Cage he's a big fan of his work, and the man says the same for Peter, admiring his photography work. He says that he needs to borrow MJ for some interviews with the press, so MJ kisses Peter and heads off to meet with the press. Peter knows that Cage seems nice enough, if a little pompous, and his spider sense didn't go off, so that tells him that MJ is in no real trouble. Cage meanwhile can't believe that MJ hasn't told Peter that he is really Mysterio, but MJ says that she was really looking forward to Peter finding out. But the man knows that strong relationships are built on honesty, but MJ knows the master of illusion and disguise isn't exactly who she thinks of when she's talking about honesty. Cage says that he's reformed, but MJ knows that that part needs to be explained to Peter, but he hates surprises. Peter meanwhile knows MJ loves surprises, and he's got a big one planned, looking to propose to her, knowing that it's a long time coming, since something always got in the way, but tonight he's ready to do it after the movie finishes. Above the premiere, the Savage Six watch the people, with Vulture knowing it's time for them to crash the party, since Mysterio thinks that he can humiliate them on the big screen and on the set. They will make him pay and give him a twist he never saw coming. Elsewhere, Kindred knows that this is as predictable as Peter was last time they met, and now he will meet in the flesh one last time and answer all of Peter's questions. He knows this is going to hurt, but it always does, but everyone has to face judgment someday and hell is waiting for him. MJ meanwhile goes and sits with Peter in the auditorium when suddenly there is a loud boom. Peter thinks that it's the audio system in the theater, but his spider sense soon triggers as the Savage Six burst through the screen, proclaiming they are there to cause murder and mayhem. Peter knows the last time he saw these guys was with Craven's Central Park Zoo ripoff, and MJ said they came to her movie set to cause some trouble in LA. Peter loses MJ in the crowd as the villains begin throwing people around the place. In the chaos, Peter is able to change into his costume without being seen, knowing MJ can look after herself. MJ soon helps up a man as Tarantula finds her, glad to meet the star of the show again. MJ tells him that she isn't scared and isn't some damsel in distress, reminding him of their last fight as Spider-Man arrives, pulling Tarantula back with his webbing. The villain, however, allows King Cobra to jump on Spider-Man, who wonders why the villain is working with the Six since he barely fought him. Cobra knows he's right, thinking maybe he should leave the hero to guys with more of a history with him, so Rhino and Stegron charge at the hero, who knows taking a hit from either one of them will put him out of commission for a week, as he spots Vulture going after MJ. Before he can take down the villain, however, Scorpion subdues him as Vulture says that Mary Jane's death will make headlines everywhere, and he's sure a posthumous performance in the movie will be a box office smash. Cage gets between the villain and MJ, telling Adrian to stop this since his grudge is with him, as he transforms into Mysterio. Mysterio says that Vulture ruined his premiere as the two villains fight, but Adrian says the reformed villain used him as a stooge in his film, despite liking the casting for him. Spider-Man finds this quite strange, but at least they are fighting one another. A voice understands Adrian's anger as he is knocked out by Doc Ock, who along with the Sinister Six arrives to crash the party as well. Peter can't believe the Sinister Six is back, as both villain teams attack one another. Peter also can't believe that Dr. Octopus is back as well, knowing Kurt Connors told him he was, but none of it adds up. He knows he doesn't have time to ponder this since the killers are really going at each other and it's all out war. Peter finds Mary Jane and Mysterio confronting the man, accusing him of duping MJ, but the woman tells him to stop since she knew he was Mysterio all along. MJ says it didn't take her long to figure it out on set, but Quentin is changed and he's reformed himself and he's using the movie to tell his story. Spider-Man can't believe him since he's a criminal, but MJ says so is Peter's roommate and ex-girlfriend. Peter's spider sense triggers as he quickly grabs MJ, diving out of the way of Rhino, who is smashed into them by Sandman. Peter knows that they don't have time to chat as Mysterio says that there is something he knows about both of them and the reason why all of this is happening. Spider-Man tells him to hold that thought as he goes to do some crowd control, going after Doc Ock, who hits Spider-Man away with his tentacles. Peter tries to tell Otto that this isn't him, but the villain doesn't want to hear the hero pretend to know him or his genius, since he is who he is always been. He turns his attention to Mysterio, knowing that their time has come and he came there to rescue the man and give him an opportunity to rejoin the Sinister Six and make it complete. And all he needs to do is give him MJ. Mary Jane knows that Kindred put him up to this, but Doc Ock says no one put him up to anything and this is the best for both of them, knowing MJ will not be harmed. But Spider-Man on the other hand will be. Mysterio grabs MJ, knowing it has to be this way, and the devil always gets his due as he disappears in a cloud of green smoke with her. Spider-Man is knocked out by Doc Ock, later awakening in a crypt where Kindred tells him to pull himself together and see what he has done. Harry appears as Peter attacks him, but the centipedes grab him, flinging him across the room as Kindred says that Peter is responsible for this and what a vicious cycle is if you never break it. Peter smashes into a mirror where he sees MJ and Mysterio on a rooftop and an injured Norman Osborn as Kindred wonders if the hero remembers what he told him last time, knowing now it's a party as Spider-Man is confronted by an army of his villains. Doctor Strange meanwhile tells Mephisto to end whatever he has done, but Mephisto knows his hands are tied. But Steven knows Peter would never sell his soul to the devil. Villain knows that the hero would be surprised what extenuating circumstances can do to a person, but he doesn't want to be inflexible since all his deals are his assets, and as Strange can see, he's not opposed to games of chance. He teleports Steven and himself down into the casino, wondering if he wants to make his side against Steven's, spinning a roulette wheel and asking Strange if he's feeling lucky.